Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 58 of the Discussion 5. We almost hit 60, and of course, that magic number 69 on its way. We are the Brothers of Discussion, here to talk Detroit Red Wings hockey with you. We talk about the 5 most pressing matters. That's why we're called the Discussion 5. There aren't 5 of us. So hard to figure out, isn't it? Coming to you every Monday morning with those 5 hot Detroit Red Wings topics. We are here because of the Hockey Podcast Network, as you heard from the top of the show. We hope that you'll check out thehockeypodcastnetwork.com and at HockeyPodNet so you can stay up to date on all the new shows that are coming, like the Hockey to Heroin podcast just had Theo Fleury as a guest, I think. Actually, you know what? Scratch that. We were just doing
research, just Marc-Andre.
And Theo came up, so maybe I'm mixing things up. But anyway, check out that Hockey to Heroin podcast. It's not how you get to it, it's how you recover from it. So gotta make sure I point that out. House of Hockey podcast, also a joy to listen to, and I do love every Friday the Ice Analytics podcast. So there's something for everyone, something for every fan of the NHL, because we also come out with podcasts for every single NHL team. Check it out, thehockeypodcastnetwork.com. But if you are looking for some pro wrestling, we got what you're looking for. As the Brothers of Discussion, go to bodpodcast.com and brothersofdiscussion.com to check us out. We are at BOD Podcast, and we will be tomorrow night watching Money in the Bank. Oh, you know what? This is coming out Monday, so we were tweeting out Money in the Bank last night. We hope that you caught it. A little too late to tell you to join us, but join us every Monday and Wednesday and Friday to hear our stylings on Twitter. And then, of course, on Instagram, we have our joint account that is both Detroit Red Wings hockey, but mostly pro wrestling, at brothers_of_discussion. And that is also where we're posting our IGTV episodes, which always have to be a little bit shorter, because even if we try to go for an hour, it goes to an hour and a minute, and who wants to just have it end a minute early? So those are always a little bit shorter, but if you want to check out entire episodes of both Brothers of Discussion and the Discussion 5, make sure you're following along on the website, because we have links to all of the different podcast platforms that we're on, which pretty much we're on every single one. That's bodpodcast.com and brothersofdiscussion.com. You can go to our YouTube page, where now we have our fancy videos that follow along. So please subscribe and comment along, and answer the questions that pop up while you're watching the episode. If you want full episode, nothing edited out, it's just us talking. That's the podcast and the YouTube page. All right, everybody. I hope you were watching me and not being distracted by Mike. But first of all, we've got to recognize our boy Steve Yzerman. Happy birthday to Steve Yzerman. I'm unfortunately going to be standing in front of Steve the entire episode. But yeah, don't forget, we're recording this Saturday morning, so it is Steve Yzerman's birthday today as we're speaking, not when you're listening to this. Mike, favorite Steve Yzerman memory?
It was going to be something hockey related, but if you can just move to your right, I think it's that expression he's making on his birthday. It definitely looks like somebody who said, you know what, I've had enough birthdays. He just looks...
Jesus.
He looks like Zeb Coulter. He looks done. He's done with birthdays.
He looks like the guy who was told to take that picture and was busy doing something else. To me, that's what that looks like. That's
No, because I think Steve and I are of the same opinion, because I just turned 33 and I forgot. If my birthday wasn't on Cinco de Mayo, I would forget that it's my birthday. I mean, now I'm 33. What's next for me? I'll probably turn 34.
That's a good guess.
But I don't know. I mean, I guess you could celebrate when you hit a new decade. But you know what, Steve? That's what birthdays at our age deserve. As we get older.
He's got a bit of a milestone. It's 55. That's It's ends in a 0 or a 5. Those seem to be the big ones.
No, you get decades
halfway to
now.
60 between 50 and
Get
60.
back to me in 5 years. Get back to me in 5 years. Matt, we have a fun-filled episode coming here. I don't know if you wanted to do your Steve Yzerman moment. It's going to be hard to top turning 55. It's a big year, I guess. I don't know. Matt, the one story I'll say that our dad always likes to share, it was Red Wings, St. Louis Blues, Yzerman skating on, I think, half a leg at that point, and he scored that overtime goal back when we still did, the full overtimes that felt like they were an hour of gameplay, per session, and it was buried in about the third overtime, and Steve got that goal, and my dad tackled me, and I was only about 10 years old then. And I weighed probably about 90 pounds, and our dad was about 220 pounds, and he just totally pancaked me. But we were both so excited that the Red Wings won in dramatic fashion. It was hard to remember what was on the TV. I remember the puck. I remember the puck going in. I remember the lights getting loud, and then I remember my dad just enveloping me as he came. Yeah! So those are my three memories. They're partially TV, but mostly my dad coming to do the big, the big splash. But Matt, what's
quick flashes of Steve?
Yeah.
No, you make a great point, because should I, do we talk about a game that you and I weren't really hockey fans at the time? So I'm gonna go to the 2002 Stanley Cup. The playoffs, but I'm gonna go to Game 6 against the Colorado Avalanche when Patrick Waugh lifts his glove to show everyone he made the tremendous save, but the puck's still laying on the ice. So our boy Stevie Y just decided to tip that sucker in. And honestly, what's so great, you really saw like a friendship or the camaraderie, and as all this pandemic stuff's been going on, we don't have live games, but we do have all of these Stanley Cup replays, so you get to see these games against like Carolina, where we're taking the cup, and the game ends and Scotty Bowman has on the ice Brendan Shanahan and Steve Yzerman, and that Game 6 goal against the Colorado Avalanche was also seeing the two of them celebrate and kind of laughing through the moment. So watching all this stuff has really been bringing me back, even though we did give the NHL and the Detroit Red Wings a really hard time when it started coming out. I have been watching every single one and loving it. So
yeah,
as hard of a time as we gave our hot take of going, man, what a dumb idea, I fucking love it right now. Yeah.
Question. All right. It's 18 years later. Patrick Waugh was, obviously doing a flourish. He was being a kind of a showboat. But in a city that, where you can't even say the word process without thinking of Calvin Johnson, not getting credit for catching a touchdown against the Bears. And he didn't fully, for some reason, they didn't consider it a touchdown because he didn't hold on to the ball an extra second. Do you think that Patrick Waugh should have been given credit for a save? Did he get a Calvin Johnson moment there? Or, come on, it's 18 years later. Let's try and be unbiased. I know you're wearing a Red Wings hat. You can turn your head around for a second. Was that a goal?
Oh,
should that have counted? Or should that have been, Calvin Johnson, a common sense touchdown? Should this have been a common sense save?
No, I pulled it up right now. I mean, honestly, I'm even remembering it wrong. Because it was Yzerman who made the shot, and it was Shanahan who put it in. Now that I'm watching it right now, so Yzerman made the shot right out front. Shanahan is the one who comes in after Waugh lifts his glove. But it has to be a goal because Waugh never had it, so you can't.
I mean, he kind of had it. We get it.
Not when you lift your hand and there's nothing there. What does that mean?
So
you kind of had it. So your argument is that you should just be able to flail around in front of the net and go, "Hi, I hit all those. You guys missed it."
Because in my memory, I just think of him he snags it and then he's like, "Woo! Oh shit!" But what you're saying is he's kind of like, oh, I don't know where it is, and then it just went in.
No, he did not say I don't know where it is. He
Well, you kind of
flashed
made a
the glove
maneuver.
like he had it, and then I'm watching it right now, and he never, like, it's a split second. Like, Yzerman right out front takes the shot while lifts his so he's ready to show off, like, I just saved. I made a huge save on Steve Yzerman, and it's a split second, like, between him stopping Yzerman and Shanahan coming in and knocking the puck in the net. So it's not like it's not like it was like four.
So it's like 1 sec. You think that even now, 18 years later, still a goal. The right call was made.
I don't need to say. I mean, obviously my memory was off because I pictured Shanahan taking the shot and Yzerman knocking it in, but it was flipped. It was reversed. So now that I'm watching the replay right now, but which is funny that this is my favorite Steve Yzerman memory now that I've completely.
It's also my favorite Patrick Waugh memory.
That's probably the real answer, because what I was gonna say was when Yzerman had like his orbital bone broken, and hearing him tell that story of his eyeball hanging out. I think that is probably the memory I'll carry with me forever for Steve Yzerman. But yeah, to go back to your question, I don't know how. Like, it's a boneheaded play by Waugh. He was ready to show off, and he didn't have the puck.
That, I think that he wore his emotions a little too much on his sleeve. Like once the puck went in, there wasn't like furious arguing. There was just oh my God. So like the guilty part is I think the ref would have looked at him and yeah, he let that in. That's a goal. So it's a goal.
Did you just watch?
Go to the center line.
Did you just watch the replay?
Again.
Okay, good. Because I'm like, like he never. He wasn't like slamming his stick on the post or anything. He's just like, fuck.
Okay. Well, Matt, we got a lot of show left here. I know we want to redo the 2000 draft a little bit, but before we do, Matt, looks like the NHL is moving closer and closer to doing what we wanted all along. Let's end the regular season. Let's go straight into this tournament. I guess the cup will still be raised at the end, so this means no more Red Wing games. Yes. Matt, are there any other big hurdles left, or we're just waiting on some approval here?
I think so. It's so weird. They keep talking about like the board of governors, but on the flip side, I think it's Katie Strang that's reporting. They don't need any approval. They can just do whatever the hell they want. Like, they can move forward with all this stuff. So all of the complaining, I think, from the GMs has kind of halted any sort of announcement. But there might be something to all of this without an official announcement being made for both moving straight into a 24-team tournament and not having a regular season, and this new NHL draft that's been proposed. I think part of what's going on here is they're not going to make the official announcement till there's just like a little eensy bit of time for everyone to complain about it. So I don't think they want to go a whole month of interviews with GMs and players about how dumb the decision making is. I think they want to go like, hey, this is probably happening, so you should prepare. And then a week before go, all right, no, it is official. We are going to do it this weekend. Because what do they need? They need everyone in front of their laptop on a Zoom meeting. So they don't. I mean, it's not like you got to prepare and set up like travel plans. You just do it from home. Yeah. So they could announce it that the draft's going to happen tomorrow, and they could probably still put it together. Who's right? I mean, Brendan Shanahan's made the comment like, we did all of our scouting, so we do it now or we do it in December. We're ready to go. So we don't. Yeah.
Yeah. I just hope the NHL takes a little bit of time to kind of force feed, like television wise, like force feed, more mock drafts. So kind of get people familiar, a little more familiar than they could be with these players. And I'm also terrified because, this draft is like where the NFL, 100% of the players were in the United States. 100% of them came from like major college, programs. So we could kind of keep track and tabs of where they are, get cameras situated like in the homes of, top picks and stuff like that. So, like if we were doing Mo Sider again and Yzerman kind of, pulled that rabbit out of his hat, like, I don't know if we would have had a camera in Sider's house. You know what I mean? So I hope that they can still kind of get that experience that the NFL did and improve upon it, and not necessarily have it where it's kind of like, oh, this isn't as good as the NFL's. Like, I kind of wish they'd taken some lessons from that.
I honestly
and it
don't
just
think
might be tougher because of that international flavor.
Yeah, it can't be the same. It won't be the same in the sense that we're all going to be so excited for players that are being drafted, and the point's been made. Like, you're comparing the NFL draft that sometimes you get to watch some of these players for like 3 or 4 years on ABC and NBC on Saturdays. It just can't be the same. It won't. What they're looking for is to have more relevance than probably ever before with an NHL draft, but it's still going to be apples to oranges saying the NHL draft could anyway compare to the NFL draft. It's not the same every year. It can't be the same this year. It won't even come close because of all those different elements that come into like getting to know these players. And I mean, this is that first effort being made to try and get closer to the NFL, I think. This is one of those things where it's like we can make this decision and try and become more relevant in American homes. And I think that's how it has to be looked at. I think if they start telling themselves, like, we need, like, people in different countries getting these Zoom or just some sort of webcam video ready to go for all these players, like, it's just not
Well, like,
happen.
maybe that experience is going to be limited, but I think we saw the weakness of that NFL draft was that Roger Goodell has the personality of a shoe. So all they would have to do is, in some capacity, have the commissioner involved. But I mean, this is an opportunity here for us to get, like the famous, almost like an Oscar night for the NHL. Have like a John Hamm host. Have people like Jenna Fisher, who's like getting her fandom out there. Get the comedians out there. Get Mike Myers out there. Get Dana Carvey out there. Jim Carrey's the big Canadians who like hockey. I think this is a huge opportunity, not necessarily for them to announce picks, but, maybe for them to kind of have, a little bit of NHL fun, Canadian humor always seems to be something the NHL likes. It wasn't too long ago we were talking about, Jeff Daniels and was it Dave Coulier sneaking into the Red Wings locker room, and that was still a big story on NHL.com. So that's two other guys who, we could definitely spice up this whole event with. I think it's an opportunity. I would not have the commissioner out there. That would be my big takeaway is how boring, Roger Goodell is and everybody hates Bettman. So, make it a little bit of an Oscar night. That's what I would do. Have it a little bit of razzle dazzle.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure you don't play NHL. You don't play Chell, the EA Sports game. Like, the NHL will completely blow that opportunity. I have to listen to every, like, 8th game. Snoop Dogg does the second period announcing. And, man, it is the most embarrassing, like, even in a pre-recorded situation with Snoop Dogg, it is so condescending. I have to listen. Hey, Snoop Dogg. What do you like most about hockey? And then, poor Snoop. Like, I'm so glad he got paid to do that.
Snoop?
But
well, does he play hockey?
no,
I know he plays
says
football.
in the thing. No, I don't know how to skate. I could probably play some street ball, and it's like. It couldn't be more
Snoop
obvious
Dogg,
what they're trying to do.
Let's be on the same page. Snoop Dogg is an A-list celebrity. Like, everybody knows who that guy is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they had the budget to get an A-list celebrity, why would you get a guy who's like kind of lukewarm on hockey? It's just
because now it's cool. So Snoop Dogg does this thing too when you score and he's watching. He just, like, it doesn't really track, like, what you do in the game and how he announces, like, a goal. So he's just like, split the defense. Split the defense. And that's not me repeating it. That's him doing, like, that's what I listen to, is him going, split the defense.
Like,
And
the
it was a
basketball
breakaway.
game is really good about, like, getting, like, you'll be playing the game, and then they'll do there's a regular commentary.
Yeah.
But then, like, Kevin Garnett will drop in, and he'll, put in his 2 cents.
Well, he's a basketball player.
You would hear, like, Kobe. I know, but these guys are, like, personalities. It's like you'll hear Shaq. It's not non-athletes and people who don't care. Or they'll have, like, I don't know how he wormed his way in, but Bill Simmons got his way into the basketball game, and he talks about, like, the 80s Celtics. So at least with that, it's a guy who bleeds basketball, not Snoop Dogg, who, even if the basketball game got, like, Kevin Hart, like, he's a legitimate basketball player, like, where people are like, he's actually got some skills. He can handle a little bit, and he's got hops for a guy who's, like, 5'4". That would make more sense. And, in that kind of, equating it, come on, hockey, don't drop the ball. Get some Canadian people who love hockey. Let's make this entertaining. Don't fall into those same pitfalls that the NFL did, or that you've already done in your own NHL video game. Please.
You know what? It also highlights, it also highlights how aware the NHL is of how little everyone cares about, like Dave Coulier. Like, nobody's gonna tune in because Dave Coulier's there. Probably nobody's gonna tune in because Mike Myers is there. I love Mike Myers, but I also already love hockey, so I don't need to be sold to watch the NFL or the NHL draft. So I think people, like, universally love John Hamm. I think that would be a great get for them, like, to help with the hosting of but I don't know
draft.
if he has, like, the charisma. Like, I get a Snoop Dogg because that's gonna blow up on Twitter because he does still snoop it up, like, while he's doing the announcing, and then he's been on NHL games, like real NHL games, doing the same thing, and, like, that blew up on Twitter, and everybody was so excited that Snoop was there, but like, John Hamm's not gonna break the internet because he's like, yeah, I'm so happy my St. Louis Blues won the cup, and now they're drafting, so and so.
I mean, if you want to crap on my John Hamm pick, go ahead. But I think it's a better idea than what they did with Snoop Dogg. So I don't know who you had as a better idea, but
I would argue
whoever they pick is going to be better than Bettman, and at least better than Goodell. Please.
My argument is, whatever, if they go in that direction, they will completely blow it. That's what I was arguing.
Yeah, nobody's. That's not a debate that the NHL is going to screw up, marketability. We're trying to fantasy book it here. So that's not a debate. That's, is it gonna the sun gonna come out tomorrow?
Well,
probably.
No,
is NHL gonna fuck up another opportunity to get their product over? Yeah, more than likely.
No,
they might actually hire. We hired Roger Goodell to do this year's NHL draft. What? No.
Well, all then right, if we're playing fantasy booking, then at the same time the NHL draft happens, the second coming of Christ actually happens, like, right in front of Gary Bettman, and he appears. Like, I think that might bring more new eyes to the NHL if that's how we're going to fantasy book it.
I can't believe that's what you picked to fantasy book with.
You don't think the second coming of Christ would get ice in the NHL draft?
Nobody would notice. The NHL would just be over, man. Right?
Like, even a guy like me who's not religious, like, then I'd be like, oh, fuck! Like,
how did you bring Jesus in? Let's move on. All right, Matt, you want to talk about Anthony Mantha? Because he's going to be a restricted free agent here. Is it in a month? Is it in a couple months? You got
so uncomfortable here in the J word.
Yeah, it was a weird point. Anyway, Anthony Mantha, Matt, does he actually want to be a Red Wing? Because the quote here is, I want to be here.
Well, that's you assuming how he delivered that line.
Did I put some weird inflection on it?
Yeah.
Maybe?
So there's two.
It doesn't say I wanna be. It doesn't say I wanna be here. I want to be here.
Do you think a journalist?
What's the inflection on? Was it a text?
No, do you think a journalist is going to title their article, I wanna be WANNA?
I want to be here. Yeah. With like a little, what is that called? The sick, SIC? I want to be here. Yeah.
Throw
I
some
would do
emojis
that.
on there. And it's just a capital B. I wanna be her.
Her.
Um,
Snoop Dogg's right in the headlines now.
And the reason I put this down is exactly the question you're asking. I think he's politicking right now. It's like to write an article that he says I want to be here is ridiculous because what's he going to say at this point? Like he missed half the season because of injury. They're not going to finish out the regular season and give him an opportunity to like show off or say I'm worth this. I think we're the only team that will give him the value. Or you know what? Well, we're the team that'll give him the most value. I don't know if he went out exploring if he's gonna find better options. So I think right now he's got to sell as like I love the Red Wings and I need to prove that I belong here next year and say those nice things. But obviously if Yzerman came out and was like nah, then Mantha would be like I was injured, but you saw I kicked the shit out of everybody in 3 games. Those first 3 games this year, you saw it. So
you all saw.
Yeah,
you all saw it.
You saw my potential.
Here's your potential. Here's your production.
Right.
Now we gotta. All right, you go down. I'll go. Let's do that.
It's
man,
just always
I hate
funny
these,
to me when
these
this
are
kind
my
of
least favorite articles.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like every year they just roll out a new one. Whoever they copy and paste the article and it's the same. You got to learn your cliches. I'm just here for the ball club.
It'll be the same thing when
games.
When Lafreniere, gets drafted and he's like, I've always loved this organization.
I've always
so much respect for it. I can't wait to get in the locker room and meet the boys. Pavel's not there. Fuck.
When I was 14 years old, in my native homeland, I was dreaming of getting drafted by the Red Wings and getting Sunday brunch at Cuzzo's on 8 Mile. It's just something I've always wanted to do, and now this draft pick is going to let that happen. I kind of want some Cuzzo's for breakfast. I might do that today. I'm going to have to post later this week if I ended up getting Cuzzo's red velvet waffles and fried chicken because it is tremendous. But anyway, Matt, these are nothing articles. I hate them. Let's do the ad that I am excited about, and then we'll move into the draft. Matt,
that wasn't a fun.
Copy. Spit that copy. It was fun.
That was a terrible transition. Well, Mike, we usually love to talk about how our nuts are nice and trim because of the Manscaped Lawnmower 3.0. Yeah. We're still doing great. I still love this thing. It's actually it puts you in a good routine too. I think to make sure that your face is shaved, you're brushing your teeth, you're taking your shower, and then you come out. Just another thing to make sure that while we're all going through quarantine and the lockdown, you've got something to do every day. And one of those things, I think, for both of us has been using that Lawnmower 3.0. And we're very happy to be sponsored by Manscaped once again. Mike, I don't know if you're still wearing those undies, but like the second I wear my Manscaped underwear, they're going right into the washing machine so I can wear them the next day. Like it's the cycle to make sure that I get as many days in the week as possible with those Manscaped underwear. I can't. Obviously, the ball hair trimmer's great. All the little accessories they give you to go with it, but that Manscaped underwear. Yeah,
I'm torn because I want to wear them in my nether regions, but I also am so comfortable in them. I want them to be my COVID mask. So I kind of want to cut out a little, adjoining piece there.
Well, the reason they're so comfortable, Mike, is because we've also trimmed as close as we can with this Lawnmower 3.0. Say goodbye, Mike, to all those nicks. And we both have. We have a nice... It just gets you right as close as possible. I just remember still that first time using it and cutting down and just going, wow, I can really swing my arm around and nothing bad's going to happen. This is the third generation trimmer. It does have the cutting edge ceramic blade to prevent those manscaping accidents. It is the premium nut trimmer. I don't think you could get any more premium than this. And I mean, it's a product. Unlike grabbing your own trimmer for your face and trying to make that work, this is created for one purpose. Battery lasts up to 90 minutes, Mike. You got that longer shave. One of the coolest features is you can shine that light on your nether regions where the sun don't shine. I think that's super helpful. There's a reason they say the sun doesn't shine there. Nice LED light. 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology. And that charging stand. You get to show off your Manscaped unit while you're shaving your unit. And also helps you hit those 90 minutes because you're proud to show off your charging stand. You just hook that sucker right up to the wall. You're good to go. If you're listening to this episode, of course, we're everywhere now. IGTV, YouTube, all the podcasting platforms. You are one of the first people to hear about this thing. You get 20% off and free shipping if you go to manscaped.com and use the code THPN, of course, in honor of the Hockey Podcast Network where we're broadcasting from. That's manscaped.com. Use promo code THPN to get 20% off your Lawnmower 3.0 and free shipping to your house. Your balls? Well, thank you. All right, so moving on. We are now talking the 2000 NHL Draft. Mike, I know you really like this. And then, of course, it's so funny. Like, when Mike is so excited to do something, then I just go over to, is Bill Simmons? Right? I just go over to his podcast, and then I see, right? He's the one that he was doing this.
Well, he did it for the boring NBA, boo. We're doing it for the NHL. Yeah! But basically,
Mike, yeah, why don't you give us a little rundown of what? Well, let's start first with this is a very unique NHL draft because it came the day. So day one of the NHL draft comes one day after the Minnesota Wild and Columbus Blue Jackets picked their way through the NHL in their expansion draft. It's one thing. It just seems too close together. Like you've had probably prospects picked off your team because I think you could save like 9 forwards, 4 defensemen, and 1 goaltender, and you might be going into the draft. What was that?
Yeah, and a goalie. It was like 4 defensemen and a goalie, I want to say.
Yeah, I said 1 goaltender.
Okay.
So you have the Jackets and the Wild picking through your rosters, and instead of it just being like one team, like when we had the Knights doing it. But now you've got to go into the draft the next day and free agency another week ahead, with multiple guys probably being off your roster. For me, it's just I don't know. This would be tough. When you talk about these drafts and try to figure out like, oh, my team is. It's going to be missing a few guys that could have, really helped us going forward in the future. Now, the Red Wings were pretty lucky because they lost Stacey Roast and Daryl LaPlante, who didn't really help anybody in their NHL teams. Both of those guys went to the Minnesota Wild, and they also ventured around the league a little bit. I did want to mention, too, there were some pretty fun names that moved at this expansion draft. Mike Vernon, Dallas Drake, Matthew Schneider, a few names to point out there. I just thought they were cool, future Red Wing players. Obviously, Vernon getting the Stanley Cup with us in '97. Dallas Drake winning with us in 2008. And then there's Matthew Schneider. All right. Moving to the 2000 NHL draft, Mike. Why don't you give us? I do like how excited you get with. We have like our awards that we're going to be giving out to different teams and players. I enjoy the excitement that you get because the entire time that we are putting our notes together for these drafts, I don't get any context, but all I hear is, oh, wow, for like 45 straight minutes. I don't hear, like, I have to go, oh, what'd you see, Mike? Because all Mike wants to do is verbally, let me know he found something cool. And then I just have to hope that he starts typing in the notes so that I know what he saw. But yeah, it's pretty much 40 minutes of Mike just going, ooh, wow.
Yeah, I don't, God, it's too fun. All right, well, there's, I like kind of sorting through all these players, seeing kind of the stats. You know, this is from 2000. Man, this is 20 years ago. Hockey is pretty unique in this way. I think there's a few anomalies left in baseball. You know, some dinosaurs that'll make it, you know, past their 30s, into their mid 30s, into their late 30s, into their 40s. But it's hockey that kind of sets that precedent.
Yeah.
You know, they're drafting these kids at like 18 and they end up getting to be in the league for, you know, about 20 years. And 2000 was no exception to that rule. We actually had 4 guys playing all the way basically through this cutoff season, Matt. We're talking about Ron Hainsey. We got Justin Williams. Doesn't get more vanilla in a name than that. We had Derek Englund, Matt, who was still kicking. But obviously the coup de grace, the cream rises to the top, man. That'll be Henrik Lundqvist, drafted all the way back, you know, in 2000. I think we just missed by a couple years here, including poor Nicholas Kronwall, who I think would have still been playing if his body didn't start betraying him. I mean, these hockey players are, you know, it's nothing new to talk about. They'll just keep, you know, Randy the Ram just keep going out there and playing until they're dead. And these guys they're warriors, Matt. And one of the other things we like to talk about here is some of the more dubious awards. Bringing up Lundqvist, he's going to be our Datsuk Diamond in the Rough winner. A guy that you have to be drafted at least past 100. And we were going to make it 200, but sometimes, you know, I don't know how this is going to keep going. But, Matt, the year 2000 did not disappoint. Henrik Lundqvist, arguably the best player in this draft, taken at 205th.
I like that you said that, because you could actually, like, we've talked about it before in comparison to, like, WAR for baseball. It's just not as sophisticated as a stat as WAR, but it's the point share stat. So how many points have you actually that based on performance and the team actually winning, have you actually attributed points? And think about Henrik Lundqvist is not playing every game for the New York Rangers. His point share for this draft is number 1, ranked among all players drafted. He's 173.3. Number 2, Marian Gaborik, 108.1. Almost a 70-point difference. And just to keep the comparison going, I mean, so that's a 70-point difference between number 1 and number 2. Number 2 and number 3 is just a 13-point difference. And then from 3 to 4, 4 to 5, it keeps shrinking. So you've got this major outlier. So to say that Lundqvist is the best person to come out of this draft is probably you've nailed it. Like, you couldn't be closer to the truth. He absolutely is the best guy coming out of this draft.
Just so I'm going to list a couple more stats for him here, but Matt, tell me the point share for first overall pick in real life, Rick DiPietro, just for comparison's sake. While Matt's looking that up, Lundqvist drafted 205th. Oddly enough, pretty close to where Datsuk and Zetterberg were taken in years prior. But Matt, we got our 2012 Vezina winner. He had the 459 career regular season wins. He had a 64 shoutouts. I don't know why 60 always seemed like this weird plateau for people to hit, but he hit it.
It's funny. Obviously, it sounded like you said shoutouts.
Oh, shoutouts? Oh, shoutouts.
Yeah, you just at the end of every game, an interview. Quick shout out, Sweden. What's up, guys?
64 shoutouts, you guys. You guys rocked it on defense tonight, you know. And then he didn't win his cup, but you know he did go to the finals with his New York Rangers. Matt, did you get that point share for us? I'm very excited to see how the poor Islanders fared with their first overall pick.
Well, like, Rick DiPietro's story is kind of sad. He had a lot of injuries, but he's still not too bad. It's 49.3. So he's still in the top 20 of all guys drafted this year. So you got to figure a number one, you probably would love to have the results of Henrik Lundqvist. But, when you are a goalie, those point share stats do get inflated a little bit. So somebody listening right now might be making that argument in their head. Like, of course, Lundqvist has so many more, or his point share is so much higher than everybody else because he's a goaltender. So it's just this idea of how much more of the win would be attributed to a guy who's in the net for 60 minutes of a game compared to forwards who are on and off the ice. But still, compared to the other, 500 guys taken, 500, the other 200 guys taken after DiPietro, for him to be in the top 20 of those guys, not too bad. I mean, you get to walk away and say he was a 49.3 point share. But still, I mean, it's playing the eyeball game here and just seeing where DiPietro's career went compared to Henrik. I mean, you've got a guy that gets labeled as the king. I mean, he's been in one of the toughest markets to play in his entire career. It's just like there's so many things you could throw on top, and the mismanagement of the New York Rangers, and he's still almost at 920 for his save percentage for his career. And it sucks for the Islanders, but it's funny how you got the New York Islanders making that pick, and the Rangers end up picking a superstar, probably a guy that as you go through the decades for all of these NHL teams, I mean, the Rangers have also had Mike Richter, but as you go through the years, it would be hard to not put Lundqvist at the top of the Rangers' all-time goaltender list.
Right. Yeah. A one of one, if you will. We've sung his praises pretty hard, and we deserved them. Henrik was incredible. But man, another award we like to do. It's something that I think. What I like about, for example, baseball drafts is they'll just draft athletes. Like one of my favorites was quarterback Russell Wilson. Already into his Seattle Seahawks career was drafted. I can't remember which team did it, but it's just like baseball. There's so many effing picks. They don't care. We'll give them a shot.
Yeah.
Something hockey does. At least this trend is carried for the drafts we've been more studiously covering is old people. They've been drafting a lot of guys who they're already 30, Matt, when they're getting picked. So we have the Yuri DePito Award in honor of the former 29-year-old who got drafted. And Matt, the year 2000 actually eclipsed that with Lubomir Sekaras. Minnesota took him, and Minnesota had one of the best drafts, I think, of this this campaign here. Because not only did they get Gaborik, and it's basically I'm trying to credit their scouting department. They got Gaborik, they got Nick Schultz, who has a super, another guy with not a super colorful name, but a couple guys who ended up having 1,000-game careers, which is really tough to do. And with Lubomir, they did draft a 31-year-old man, but he was productive in his short window. He actually did get about 20 minutes of ice time, for about 3 years there for Minnesota. He topped out at about 34 points. Not horrible for a defenseman.
Right.
About 30, 20, 10, and then he had his final little cup of coffee with Dallas. But it's just weird little trend that I like tracking.
It does make sense, too, that a team like the Wild would do it, since they were, this is their expansion year. So they're drafting a guy who can step right in and play. I really like the second guy on this list is 29-year-old Roman Cechmanek, who walks away from the NHL with a .919 save percentage, a 2.08 goals against in 212 games. That's not those aren't like awesome numbers that he put up in like 10 games. This is 212 games, coming up with 110 wins and 64 losses. I mean, Roman Cechmanek, again, the beauty there is that he gets to step right in. He's 29 years old. You don't need to worry about too much going on in regards to development. But I get the Wild doing it. The Flyers going with Chechmanek. And where did he go? He went 171st. If Lundqvist didn't go so late, you could make the argument that Chechmanek actually is the guy who's our Pavel Datsyuk player, because they took a chance on an older guy, and then he turns in 212 solid games. And actually his point share is 38.1. Think about that. In 200 games, it's 38.1. So that's not bad.
Yeah, makes you wonder why Philly wasn't looking at Henrik.
Yeah.
I know you want to bring in a guy who's ready to roll, but did we need the 29-year-old guy? I don't know. Well, Matt, there's one more award that you threw on here. You called it the Good Boy Award. Matt,
yeah.
Who took home the Good Boy here?
Yeah, the Good Boy Award is like it has to deal with loyalty, so I'm kind of thinking like you have a good dog, you're patting him on the head. But yeah, the Red Wings and the Rangers both ended up taking top 10 guys, top 10 careers, I should say, in this draft, and they ended up playing their entire career with one team. So that, of course, are the guys we've already mentioned, Niklas Kronwall and Henrik Lundqvist. So I like that award going forward, because we always talk about all these teams that were successful in these drafts, but then we're basing that on the team holding on to, or just making the pick, and then how successful was the player. So it is, it's a testament to their scouting to know that these guys were worthwhile. But then it's the front office, the entire front office, to not only draft the guy, but then to know we've got to hang on to this guy for his entire career. Because part of the NHL is moving guys, because sometimes you don't want to have a guy too early in his career or too late in his career, and it just makes sense marketing wise for a team to have some guy. It makes sense for your budget to have a guy at this point in his career instead of this point in his career. So there's so many things that go into it. So it's not always a dumb decision, but there has to be something said for these two teams like making the decision to hang on to Kronwall and Lundqvist for their entire career. So the Good Boy Award goes to the Red Wings and Niklas Kronwall, and the Rangers and Henrik Lundqvist.
That's cool. Before we kind of start repicking this draft here, we're just going to do the top 10 and see what scraps were left for the Red Wings when they picked at the end of the first round. But Matt, what did the Red Wings do in real life? Yeah, there were some scraps, Matt. Because we're gonna pick over all the good stuff. We'll see what's left.
Oh,
Matt,
I thought you were.
Red Wings do in 2000.
I'm sorry. I thought you were saying let's look at who was drafted, and
no.
So I was like, we made a pretty good pick. All right. So what are we doing? I'm drafting first.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, what did just an overview of what the Red Wings did before we dive in.
Oh yeah, Kronwall in the first round. We traded up to get Thomas Kopecky. Actually, no, I think we made that trade in October of 1998. Yeah, that's what I saw. So we had the 2000 draft pick from the New York Rangers, bringing this team up again, back in 1998. And who did we trade? We traded. Was it Mike Knuble? Is that what I saw? Yeah. So Mike Knuble gets traded, and then we get this pick and pick up Thomas Kopecky. I just thought it was interesting. Like, let me scroll back to this, because no, I can't remember all this off the top of my head. But it was funny to me that we get Thomas Kopecky at number 38, and then the Rangers actually ended up picking Dominic Moore, who ends up being in the top 20 of this draft for like successful careers, and he goes at number 95. So it's kind of interesting that was how that trade lined up. And let me actually make sure that was what did I say? Number 95. Yeah, so that was the Rangers. He ends up playing nearly 900 games. Just become a solid center for the Rangers for his career. He's not he's not going to get his number up in the rafters, but neither is Thomas Kopecky in the second round. But everything else was just nobody even sniffed the NHL. So kind of interesting there that we got maybe the opposite of what we had been seeing in the last couple of years for the Detroit Red Wings, getting Zetterberg and Datsyuk, and now this year we we nail it in the first round and then dog shit in the rest of the draft. But yeah, that's nice pickup though in the first round. I mean, there were 28 other teams that could have picked Nicholas Kronwall and they didn't. So good on the Red Wings. I think that's one of those where everybody's always made like two different arguments of how amazing is the scouting to pick up Datsuk and Zetterberg so late in the draft. But then people always are ready to jump and say, yeah, but wouldn't they draft him in the first round if they knew they were going to be good? There's so many variables to throw into that because...
Yeah, why would you roll the dice?
Well, why would you pick up a guy you know is going to go to the 6th round? I mean, basically what I think would happen is Datsuk or Zetterberg Zetterberg goes to the 7th round, and then the draft's over. So does he even get drafted if we don't? So why are you going to pick him up in the first round? Anyway, I mean, I'm not trying to, like... I sound like a fanboy when I say that. I'm just saying there's a lot of variables. So on the flip side of that, the next year we pick up Kronwall in the first round. So if there's any argument about, the Red Wings just get lucky or what have you, this is a pick where you go, okay, they are doing some good scouting. This worked out. We just said goodbye to Kronwall last year. Hell of a career. So yeah, there's that. All right, redrafting the 2000 draft. So right. I went first.
I'll take the first pick.
In 98. You went first in 99. So I will go first in 2000.
All right, go ahead.
Yay! All right. So the New York Islanders, Mike, took a goalie. Yeah, I'm taking Lundqvist.
No more need be said.
Yeah, I mean it's as easy as it gets, right? I mean they were already looking for a goaltender. Now they get to use a crystal ball and see, well, who's going to be the best goaltender to come out of this draft. I think it would be fun to just sit here and go, you know what? I'm taking Brizgalov. Maybe he'll have a better career if he starts off.
He'll turn it around. Yeah.
No, he had a great career. I wouldn't say he turned it around. I would just say, maybe the situation changes up a little bit.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I don't think...
I'm still taking Lundqvist. No. I'm not taking Briz. I'm just saying I could probably make somewhat of an argument.
Just those kind of longing looks, I think, Islander fans just looking across, the cityscapes there and seeing Madison Square Garden just lit up with another Lundqvist victory, Yeah. I think they would be happy to have a little change of luck there, Matt. And with the second pick, they was that Atlanta?
Mm-hmm.
Number 2?
Now the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah. They took Danny Heatley at the time. He's fine. A guy who, almost got that 800-point plateau there. But I think they could do a little better. I think they could take a guy who also got to play with Lundqvist a little bit, Matt. I'm going Gaborik. I don't think there's any debating that he was the best forward in this, the best skater. You could maybe say, does that point share, how does that equate for a goalie and, a skater? But I think the best skater in this draft was Gaborik. And it's, I'm always envious of left-handed shooters. Dude was an all-star. He just, was a consistent point scorer. A dude who played, 18 years, so you get longevity. You get pucks and nets. I mean, he's kind of floated around. He kind of floated around at the end. Playing at the Kings a little bit. I think he had a cup of coffee with Columbus. My God. But I don't think you can be upset for Atlanta. You get a slight upgrade. You get a little bit longer career because that's what we're doing. You get the span of their career, not what they ended up, with their one team that picked them. So that's what you're getting out of this. So, that's what I'm doing for Atlanta, man. They want a forward. They get a slightly better forward.
Well, I'm gonna make the argument here, and here's where I'm taking Danny Heatley at number 3.
Ooh.
with the crystal ball, you can. It's just one of those things where you're going to see what happened in someone's career. So maybe the Minnesota Wild, like, this is a better place to be. You got a quieter place for Danny Heatley to live. I think the career troubles that he had, maybe there's a better chance, things work out. I mean, this is a guy who was on the cover of NHL, 2000, whatever, NHL 2004, 2005. So yeah, I don't think Danny Heatley's a bad pick. I don't think you can look at a guy and go, yep, he's going to have some very specific issues in his career. So I'm going to take Heatley at number 3, and he's still, even with what happened in his career, I think he's still the number 3 point getter in this draft. So he had a lot of opportunity to keep getting points. Yep, number 3. And actually, that would put him as the number 2 forward in point share. Yeah. So in that regard, Danny Heatley's not a bad pick. So he is going to the Minnesota Wild, who need a superstar that you can point to since they're just coming off their expansion draft.
All right. Well, with number 4, I'm taking with Columbus Blue Jackets. We're picking there. They originally took Radoslav Klesla, who, carved out an okay career. 659 games is, nothing to sneeze at.
Right.
But Rostislav, as much as I love that first name, I'm gonna go a different defenseman for them. Now, there is a defenseman who had a little bit better point share, Matt. If you want to look at Wisniewski, who played for the Kings, but I'm gonna give him Kronwall. I'm putting Kronwall pick number 4 there, because I think besides getting a hard hitting dude, a guy who did get his fair share of assists, he did have a pretty powerful shot. He would run the point for the Red Wings. I think you also get a little bit of an identity, because when he was on the ice, you knew that there was some thunder about to come down. Whenever he was out there, I think you were kind of keeping your head on a swivel because you didn't want to be part of one of his checking highlight videos.
Yeah.
And I think that Columbus being a little bit newer team, I don't think they would have minded associating themselves with somebody like Kronwall. So I'm going to put him at number 4.
Well, here's what I would do with that number 4 pick, and this is the argument. I would go with Lubomir because he is one of those guys that we were talking about before who's older and he's ready to go. So he's drafted. He's 24 years old. You could have Wisniewski go right in for a team that, again, just went through the expansion draft. So they're starting fresh. So I like that pick of Lubomir over Kronwall because they're going to draft Kronwall, and he was still a project for the Detroit Red Wings. He was not inserted right away. So they're so many years out before Kronwall is ready to go. But if you pick up Lubomir at 24, this guy, bam, you get maybe 1 year at worst, but if you're talking about a team that has...
That's a lot of pining for somebody who's about to pick 5th, man. Kronwall's already been chosen. Boom!
Well, there's my argument. All right, so 5th is the Islanders here, coming up
5.
again.
Yeah.
All right, so who do I have left? I've got the field, right? Except for a few guys.
You've got, -4.
And then the Islanders did think it was important to pick up a left winger, which always seems hard to find. So I guess we'll make this left winger thing work out a little bit better, and we'll go with who went number 6, which is Scott Hartnell, and he's coming over. He's coming over to the Islanders.
That's who I wanted at 6. You son of
a. All right, well, there you go. Not much to dissect here. Just a guy who had a pretty successful career at left wing, and let's kind of upgrade that Raffi Torres to a Scott Hartnell.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, well, doubled up the games played and tripled up the points.
Well, Matt, that moves it down to my pick. I was really excited to actually take that guy because I really they actually chose perfectly. They got basically the best left wing. He just dropped into their slot. There wouldn't have been any quibbles there from the fans kind of doing this with us.
Yeah.
So for Nashville, we're gonna kind of get out the old bongo drums and do some backpedaling here because our player's off the board. So instead at number 6, give me a dude with I think he had the longest career, or second or third longest. Yeah, he did have the longest career from this draft. He went all the way to 28 from the Flyers originally, but we're gonna pick a wing on the other side. Matt, give me Justin Williams.
Woo!
Not the most glamorous point scorer of all time, but man, give me 2013-14, a year that Lundqvist I think just thinks about and cringes, because that would be a year the Kings, Justin Williams got himself a little Conn Smythe action, Matt. Ooh, how does that taste? In his career, he made no All-Star games, but that one magical run, 13-14 for the Kings. My man Jay Will, he's going to lead my beloved pick here at number 6. He's going to lead them to maybe a Stanley Cup 13-14 and be the best player on a playoff team. Got a long-ass career. You're welcome.
Well, the bonus, too, is that maybe one day if they hold on to Justin for his whole career, since he helped Carolina come up with those post-game celebrations, maybe he'll be bringing those over one day. So that's the bonus. Like when you get to look at the crystal ball, that's what Nashville gets to one day dream about. And Nashville would be a great town for those post-game celebrations, since they've really turned into like this party town. Like that's how they're identified now, since they have a pretty successful team. Okay, number 7. I'm actually going to take who ends up being, and we've already brought him up. Let me just make sure I get this right. So he's the 5th best point share, right? So this is a steal, even in our redraft of the NHL. Even with a crystal ball, this is still a steal for the Boston Bruins. So they're just going to be that much better. But they're going to be taking Lubomir. And where they took, I'm sorry, I keep scrolling away from the page I need to be looking at. So they take Lars Johnson at number 7, who ends up playing 8 games in the NHL, and now they're actually going to be able to walk away with a very respectable defenseman leading the way. 883 games played, 495 points, and again, coming in at number 5 in total point share for what you could bring to your team and how many wins you're going to help add. That's what the Boston Bruins get now. So I think a steal would be an absolute steal in our redraft, and was an absolute steal for the Kings in their regular draft.
Well, I mean, I can't add too much more than that. He was a fine player, Matt. I'm gonna go ahead and move along here. My beloved Tampa Bay Lightning. Yzerman's old buddies down in Florida. What we thought was his retirement project. Now he's back in Detroit. He's working again. So, Matt, they took a wing originally, and they're going to take a wing again. Matt, again, I love colorful names. This is not one of them. Give me Brad Boyes. Uh-oh, I got somebody sneaking in here. Much like Tampa sneaking in this draft and taking this guy who originally went 24th, they're sneaking and getting Brad Boyes, who's, again, not a sexy name, but he did have a more colorful regular season career than my boy Justin Williams. He's up there for a couple Lady Bangs. Obviously, he had no shot because the overlap with Datsuk made that impossible. He was up there for, being in the All-Star game. He had an apex of 72 points, nothing too crazy, but again, this is a guy we're just looking at consistency. You get 14 years out of him. You get a guy who was a defensive gentleman. Give me Boyes at 8. They wanted a wing, they get a wing. Not a sexy name, but you get a guy who's going to play for a while for you. Matt, we move to number 9, and before you pick, whoever you pick is going to be better than what Calgary did, because they easily got the biggest bust of the top 10, Brent Cran, but not spelled like the fun Crayola Cran, just Krahn, Cran. Played a whopping 1 game in the NHL, did not contribute very much as a goaltender. Matt, how do you bail out Calgary? What do you got for them?
I'm gonna play the game we were playing earlier, where we were talking about goalies that actually ended up having a pretty good career, despite not playing super long. And I don't know if I'm hurting Calgary with this, because I think the easy thing to do is just to go Ilya Bryzgalov, like match their goalie pick, and just go, all right, who's the best guy on the board? Who played the most games, brought in a good point share. No, I'm going Roman Cechmanek. They have the crystal ball. They're drafting that 29-year-old goalie because he gets to play this year. He's going to come in second in the rookie voting. He's going to come. Let me pull this up here. I was just looking at it. He's fourth place for the Hart Trophy, second place for the Vezina. He's an all-star for his first 3 seasons in the NHL. Almost gets another Vezina. This guy all the way. Roman Cechmanek is going to bring some excitement over to Calgary, and bringing over almost a .920 save percentage. He only played 4 years total, but I can't get around it. I'm gonna have some fun here, and we're gonna leave Briz on the board.
All right, I guess I get to close out the top 10 here, Matt. I know they took a center originally. Okay. At number 10, there's a name that we only mentioned him once so far, and it's a name that I love. Ben Wallace, the Detroit Pistons center. He had a mantra, fear the fro. And Matt, at number 10, we would be remiss if former Moscow native Alex Frolov wasn't taken. Now, Matt, he only played about 8 years, but my God, did those first 2 years shine. He had a whopping 31 and 48 points. He maxed out with the Kings there. He almost made your criteria, by the way, of being a dude who played his whole career with one team. He was a King from 2002 to 2010. Matt, not dazzling, but we'd be remiss if this name was not chosen, because it's a great name. It's fun to say. It feels nice in your mouth. He's actually up for the Calder Award. Give me Frolov.
All right.
I know, that's it. And
you got
let's do one last thing, Matt. Crawling all the way down to number 29. If a couple of the defensemen here are off the board, what would the Red Wings have done potentially?
So what do we got? All right. I got to count to figure out who would be gone. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 18, 19, 20, 21,
Are you looking at the 29th win share?
24, 25, 26, 27.
Please tell me you're not looking at the 29th win share.
29.
He is looking at the 29th win share.
I mean, what else would I do? There's a crystal ball. Everybody gets to pick whoever they want. How am I going to pick who would be left over without just going down 29 and looking at another defenseman? Looks like we're taking Andreas Lilia, so
woo!
There you go.
I'm back. That's what I'm talking about, baby.
That comes full circle. Yeah, I mean, what else, right? I mean, how else would this game be played? You gotta go with...
I love that pick. I love that pick.
Thank you.
That was a good one. He was a Red Wing for a couple years. He was on that. Wasn't he on the Cup team in 2008? Yeah, he was on the Cup. He won a Cup. Good for him.
Yeah, no, it's cute that this worked out that way. But yeah, I don't know any other way to play this game than to count down how many.
Thank God crystal balls aren't real. Yeah, we would have really been screwed.
Yeah.
Lilia with our top pick there.
Well, then we'd be getting a first pick coming up.
Oh, that's right. Matt, would you say that he is? I think Cronwall is going to be in the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame and all that nonsense. Does he go into the National Hockey Hall of Fame?
No,
I
don't think so.
He's Michigan Hall of Fame, but not Hockey Hall of Fame.
Does the Michigan Hall of Fame let people from Sweden?
Oh yeah, come on in. We'll take it. He's a Red Wing. They'll let him do it. Come on.
I don't think that's how that works.
You don't have to, no, because they don't only take Michigan natives, because, most of the players, like Barry Sanders, he just played for the Lions. He's from Oklahoma.
He's in the Michigan Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
You're not just...
Man, there'd be nobody in there.
Why would you say... I mean, there's a ton of different states that have colleges that have successful Michigan Sports Hall of Fame. Yeah, there's a picture of Barry Sanders, Steve Yzerman, Joe Dumars, and Alan Trammell.
You said to hang out here.
That's ridiculous. Ladies and gentlemen, that is not how this should work. The Michigan Sports Hall of Fame should only be Michigan-born people. It's so stupid. What's the point?
We got to build a wall? No, we're honoring people who played for Detroit and Michigan.
Build
That's
a
what
wall?
this Hall of Fame is for.
Why are you building a wall? Why? This just means anybody who's pretty good, Now this is as lame as the WWE Hall of Fame, since you can just pick anybody that's just stopped on in for a ham sandwich. You know what?
No, you can't just... No, I'm not cutting off Steve Yzerman. That's what Matt's trying to say, is that Yzerman should not be in the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I want you to name exactly one person who should be in there.
Gerald Ford played for the University of Michigan, became president of...
Yeah, but he's president of the United States, not of Michigan. Out!
I nailed it.
He was not president of Michigan.
It's not if you leave the state. It's if you were.
So what is your criteria? Because we're gonna go over now because of this stupid argument. But
we're way over already.
You can't discount like Barry Sanders, Yzerman, Doom. Those guys are so synonymous with the state of Michigan.
Why does it go away if they're not? Like, I'm saying the Michigan Hall of Fame should be about people that were born in Michigan.
No. Because then there's people who just leave. Because it's kind of like you're choosing to be here. That's more important, that you're choosing to be part of Michigan.
Barry Sanders didn't choose the Detroit Lions.
He definitely re-signed here. He could have signed somewhere else.
Yeah, we gave him enough money to stick around.
Oh, no other team was going to pay Barry Sanders to play running back for them. Come on, man. That's a paper argument. No.
Like, what are we doing? The Michigan Hall of Fame. Who cares?
Man, you have a terrible argument. All right, that's got to be the end of the show. Man, let's get out of here. Let's ride off into the sunset.
All right, Mike with the terrible argument. All right, we're headed out. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a good one. Hi everybody, this is Matt Klink of the Brothers of Discussion, reminding you that you can find the Brothers of Discussion at bodpodcast.com, brothersofdiscussion.com. Find us on Twitter at bodpodcast, and of course we are bringing you content every Thursday, if not during every Monday Night Raw, every NXT show, every AEW Dynamite, every SmackDown, every pay-per-view, every major show happening in the United States. The Brothers of Discussion are covering it, so if you want good wrestling coverage, come to the Brothers of Discussion. Thanks, everybody. Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Discussion 5. Can't thank you enough. But to try to give back, we're here to tell you about another cool hockey contest that the Hockey Podcast Network and the Discussion 5 are very proud to tell you about. If you are interested in walking away with a $175 Cool Hockey gift card, you've got to listen up. Because if you buy a jersey from coolhockey.com before June 1st, so from the moment you hear this till June 1st, you will be entered to win a $175 Cool Hockey gift card. Now, once you make that purchase, your name is automatically entered, and it has to be a jersey purchase to be entered. All you have to do is go to coolhockey.com/THPN. And you know what? Mother's Day's coming up. So you go ahead and get your mom that hockey jersey that she's always wanted. And now you're entered for the Cool Hockey gift card contest. Now, a couple little snippets here. If we get 10 jerseys sold by May 15th, this sucker's going to turn into a $200 gift card. That's right. So you want to share with your friends and your buddies what's going on here. Now, make sure you also use the promo code THPN to get 30% off the hockey jersey that you're purchasing. So just to run this down one more time, we've got coolhockey.com/THPN is the location you want to go to run this contest and buy your next hockey jersey. Get your mom a hockey jersey for Mother's Day, and then you'll be entered to win a $175 Cool Hockey gift card to give to your dad for Father's Day.